Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's time for one of my favorite videos on the channel. It's time for the reading journal update. If you're new here, hi, I'm Celine. I'm a digital fantasy artist. I create artworks and I create stationery products. But I also love to combine love crafting and stationery into a reading journal, and that's this big boy. It's getting quite hefty. And this video is all about Q1 in my reading journal. And we're off to quite a good start, I'd say. I've read some of my favorite books so far. Some of those books still triumph the books I'm reading currently or have read currently. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more reading journal content and also see more of my vlogs and what I do as a small business owner. But with no further ado, I'll let the video do the talking. Well, hello there. It's time for a little cute short voiceover. So I actually didn't quite know how I would tackle this first initial review page because I like to have an overview of all the books that I've read that period, in this case, this first quarter of the year. And of course I want to show off my washi tape that I created with the bookshelf fitting the book review idea. And I am currently making it more snug by adding the same kind of color of the larger washi tape on the edges, not the surroundings. And it's a bit busy. I tried to fit 8 books in here, but I think it turned out quite alright in the end. It didn't leave me very much space to write reviews though, or I need to write smaller. And I like to note down generic info of when I read it and what I thought of it, so I can refer back to it when, in any case, I want to pick up the book again or just for funsies. And the book choices in Q1. Well, first let me tell you, I'm quite a mood reader. I just go by vibes and how I feel. And I have the tendency to read like horror/thriller and then fantasy, or read like a more darker themed book along with the fantasy book. So I kind of have the best of both worlds and a variety to get me going. So you can see like some young adult fantasy picks, but also some more darker themed books like Gold Eternity, if I say that correctly. Or Dead Silence, I should say. As to no one's surprise, my favorite books were Daughter of Smoke and Bone and The Ninth Rain. Ninth Rain caught me by surprise, and Daughter of Smoke and Bone I want to reread again because that was the book that, I don't know, left such an impact on me as a reader and as a person all these years later still, because I read it when I was like, I don't know, I think like 16 or something. And when I create these larger book review pages for a single book or book series, I don't like to create a page for every book. I like to create a page for the book I care most about, and that is, in this case, The Ninth Rain. And I'm using also my very own washi tape. That gold foil tape you see right there is one I created and designed and like to use very, very much. So how do we go about designing? Well, to me the most important thing is that the colors match. Like, doesn't really matter what kind of stickers or other equipment I use. If the colors of the cover match with my like washi tape, then I'm all good to go. And that's what I did right here. Using the blue accents and the brown accents in the tape, and spreading that out onto the other decorative elements in the spread. And this is like my favorite little nook. I think that I created a little collage of a book review spread I've created so far. I don't know, sometimes when I have a brain fart, well, I have good brain farts and I have bad brain farts. This one fits into the good brain fart category. Also adding more sparklies on the side with my gold paint marker. And I tend to look up some information or interesting fonts or whatever, and I'm creating these review pages because, you know, why should you be prepared? Let's be unprepared instead to make things extra spicy for yourself. And in these reviews, I should in my talks, I keep forgetting to mention this, but I won't talk about spoilery things that happens in the book. I won't talk about spoilers, I mean, English. But I talk about how I feel about the book and how it made me feel. And this one, it was such an interesting read. It mixes sci-fi with fantasy so well. I haven't read that much genre bender books, so this was my first one. And oh, well, I was rambling on for way too long, so we're now back to Daughter of Smoke and Bone. But still, talking about the Ninth Reign. The writer, John Williams, is able to write such visceral descriptions of the world that the Winnowing Flame trilogy is in. And it was so cool how she came up with certain design choices and the way my mind visualized some things. Really, really fun. Just a really entertaining read, and I loved all the characters so much. Vintage is so cool, and Thor is something else entirely. And Felnoon I also love and cherish. So maybe, you know, maybe I can create maybe a custom or a fake like book cover for the Ninth Reign. That would be fun. But okay, talking about this current design, well, I'm kind of dissatisfied with it because I wanted to bring forth the pink in the cover, and I adore this cover series a lot. I bought it second hand and for such a steal. Love it so much. But I went for the pink, and I didn't have like a pink color that was as bright as the pink in the cover, so it doesn't come across as strongly as I'd like to, so it's quite an indecisive design. So I'm trying to make up for it by creating like cool typography and effects with the title of the book. And like the last half of the words are kind of fading away into the white, so I'm using my white paint marker to create like a faded effect. So that's like the showstopper in this page. And yes, this book is as cool as I thought when I read it for the first time. And I'm not much of a rereader. I like to just yeet through the book and leave it at that. So I'm very picky with the books that I'm kind of picky. I have a specific taste of books, and now I'm getting to know my own taste better. I'm unhauling at the moment quite a lot of books that I got, so you know, that's good. And just reshaping my own personal library. And oh, this page is like super messy. The tomes acquired, didn't keep track of at all. So next time when I am going to like buy a book, I should note it down right away. Because silly me thought, okay, you know, I'll update it when I am going to update everything, like the whole journal. But if you do it like once a quarter or even less, you tend to forget some things. And these are my monthly favorites so far. And the reading goals. So for every other quarter I use a different color, so to keep track of things and to make it look more fun. So what is kinda tricky in a good way, challenging is the right word, is my book bingo. Because I am not a fast reader, so how to compensate for that, I don't know. I'll have to see, but for now I'm trying to fill out each like little square for one book with one book, so I'm not cheating, or it's not cheating, but you know, trying to keep it fair. And filling out this cozy library that I painted, finally. At 25 and 2025. I'm trying, okay, I'm trying my best. And when going by vibes and reading, I don't think I'll be able to tackle everything, of course, but I hope to be able to tackle like a lot of the books that I kinda aimed to read at the start. And time for some funky stats. So I'm using my tape, or my roll of tape, to make these circles, and it has a really nice size, so you know, it's perfect. Don't need much else, and I use ChatGPT to generate like the percentages and stats for me, because I can't be bothered with that. So I gave him my like reading info, and he coughed up some funky diagrams for me. Hello, welcome to the reading journal flip through of quarter 1. So what did we fill out? Well, finally we have filled out the bookcase, and it's a bit fiddly with the little symbols indicating the genres of the book, but I think the soft colors are like pretty and nice, and the book titles are legible to me. Yeah, I really love this concept of painting my bookcase. It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it for this journal for sure. We'll see how long it takes to fill this one out. And the books I've read 8 books in quarter 1. And I think quarter 1 so far has been my best quarter. I can tell you that already with the most 5-star reads. 6 of Crows, 9th Rain, like this one is precious to me, and Daughter of Smoke and Bone, which was my all-time fave and is still one of my all-time faves. And we did read some horror, but let's flip through. And the reading goals. So I just try to fill out all these squares, and I officially have in my Storygraph, which is a reading tracker app, where you can also browse books on. My goal was 40 books this year, but somehow I just filled out an arbitrary number for the pages goal, which was 25k. But 25k books is actually about 65 books with a page count of about 400 pages per book. So it doesn't quite match up with the goal, but we'll see how it goes. Also for the book bingo here, so I try to use the same color for each quarter on these pages. I also try to, for one square, keep it to one book. Let's see how we fare. I want to challenge myself, and I think for the next 2 challenges we might need to target, for example, like I have to choose a middle grade book in order to fill out a square, so that's really interesting, and see if I can pick enough diverse books for every square. 25 and 25, and this is a bit hard to read. Maybe I think I'll use my fountain pen to color these stars. It's easier to read as it's gold on brown paper, so like this. 5 stars here, 3.75 here. Yeah, I don't know if there are any noticeable, I don't know what my reading style is right now. I definitely tend to lean into more fantasy heavy books, but that wasn't a secret to me. I know I tend to like those more than grounded stories, but if it's a story settled in reality, I like horror. I think the clash between something that doesn't supposed to exist with like the harsh reality we live in right now is really interesting to me, and see how characters can respond to that. Those interactions are fun and interesting to read about. Yeah, my release radar, so books I anticipate reading or just looking up about. I do need to fill out this one, so maybe we'll tackle that in the next video, just for funsies. And maybe next page, I haven't read books in this list, and this is not like a required to read or to be read list. It's just that if I stumble upon a book that I think is interesting, the blurb on the back of the book, I just note it down here. But the thing is, I did it all in advance, so I spent an afternoon like looking up all kinds of books. So what would be handier is that if next time I don't fill everything out at once, but whenever I stumble upon a book that I think is interesting, just write it down. Because you can't predict everything, and it didn't make sense, but I just wanted to finish these pages, so I went in with the mindset of, okay, we have to fill it out as well, but that is not necessary. That said, I did read some books, The Dawn of Smoke and Bone, Dead Silence, and Sharp Objects, all in March. So the series tracker page, started 6 of Crows, Dawn of Smoke and Bone, and The Winnowing Flame. Really anticipating to read this further, this series. And the book Matrix. If you have followed some booktubers or reading journal YouTubers, they have a book bracket or a book matrix, and in a book bracket you battle off you have like a month, and then you write down the book that you like most in that month, or multiple books, and then it falls off with each bracket till one remains. But I don't know if I want to do it for the matrix, because then you battle it with book A with book B, which one is the best, which one has your preference, you write it down, so on and so forth. But I don't know if I want to do it on a monthly basis. So when I read something, or in this case in quarter 1, I just wrote down the book that I thought was like, yeah, it should be definitely in there, Dawn of Smoke and Bone, obviously, and see how I feel about every book. Because I have sometimes reading slumps in a month, or not enough time, and then I read less, but then you have less books to choose from, and in other months you have too many books to choose from, so it doesn't feel very fair to me. So I kind of go by vibes on this one, or by rating, but definitely this book should be in here, and this page will be for the book of the year, so which one that will remain, or gets chosen the most. So we'll see how that goes. And some tomes acquired, written down in here, but I think this is too small, and I don't think it's super accurate as well. I didn't give myself much space, so next time more space, because I like to haul some books, but I also like to unhaul some books. I recently started Vinted, and Vinted is like mostly European based online marketplace where you can sell whatever you have and you want to get rid of. And I sold some books recently, but I also need to make an haul page still, so next time. Wishlist books I want to get, maybe Tainted Cup, Raven Scholar, Blood Over Bright Haven, sounds really cool, and Rain and Ruin. And here, horror, Paradise 1, which is a sci-fi horror book, and other Jeanette McCurdy. I'm glad my mom died. I do have that one though, so I need to... I scored it, I think, a few days ago. I'll look it up later. I bought this one, a hardback secondhand on Vinted, so yay me. We'll note it down later when I know the date of purchase. Pages read. Yeah, March was like a really good month with almost 2,000 pages read. And yes, when I set this up, I was overly enthusiastic and didn't really have a grasp on how many pages I'd read on average, but you know, it looks fun, this graph, and I could have spread it out more, so next time I'll make smaller increments instead of like these big ones up to 6,000. Well, if I ever reach that, then you know, I'm not okay. But for now we're doing fine. We're doing fine with almost 2,000. Read the Rainbow. Well, let me see. We've tackled black, a black-ish cover, and blue, because I really like this cover design. I have this physical version and it's oh so gorgeous. I wish this artist would sell this as a print, but she doesn't, so that's a bummer because I love this so much. And the messy yearly overview page, because I kind of lost count some things, but it is kind of accurate, I think. But for books in January, February 2, March 3, March with two 5 stars. Yeah, because the other 5 stars in February, I had to look back for a bit. And so far I haven't DNF'd and unhauled anything in quarter 1, but that will change. That will change later. You'll see eventually when I get to that. And monthly favorites. So again, in some months I read more than in the other, so it's kind of hard to gauge, but these were the notable ones. This was the last book in the Infernal Devices trilogy, which was quite enjoyable book series to read about. I was already familiar with the Mortal Instruments, but I read it way back in the day, like when I was in high school, early years there. 6 of Crows, yes, and a 9th Reign, of course, because I would have, I don't know when I've read. Let me look back. Like, that's the handy thing of reading journal. You can always look back and refer to other info about your reading stats, and it's super interesting, to me at least. But when did I read this? In March. In case you don't know, or forgot, I mean, it's not the kind of useful information to remember, but I did read A Daughter of Smoke and Bone before, and it is still like my top tier favorite book, but I don't want to mention the same book all over and over again. So the 9th Reign, which is a new book, which I also love, and falls into the same tier as A Daughter of Smoke and Bone to me. So this book gets a nice place in March as monthly favorites. Hall of Fame, still empty, because this we will fill out at the end. So in, I think, the quarter 4 video. And DNF Graveyard, still empty, but I think we'll make a haul page, or a haul pages, like maybe here. I think that's nice, because I've started unhauling books, and it's so relieving and fun to do, because it makes space for books I do enjoy reading and maybe anticipate rereading, and if not, those will also get unhauled. So, woo! Long live buying things and selling things. Quarter 1 reading overview. So we arrived at the meat of the video, what this was supposed to be about. And this page, aesthetically, I think it's very chaotic, and that's okay. That's not per se a bad thing, but I made this page when I was at a friend's place and I didn't have all my stash and stationery that I wanted to use. I should have brought that with me, but that's fine. We live and we learn. I do like that I used the tea bags packaging to create this little collage. And what about my stats? But hold up, let me take a sip of tea first. Okay, stats. Books read. We read 8 books in 3 months. which is like, it's not a game, but I like to challenge myself, and I do like to read. It's a hobby, but I also think this is so fun to do, to be creative with my hands and find visual solutions for like a certain spread. So all in all, it is okay as someone who used to read a lot back in the day and is starting to read again. So good start, good start. Let's see if we can keep up and read even more. Pages read, almost 4,000, so not bad, not bad. But I set the pages goal in my story graph to 40k, but I think I set that goal like somewhere end quarter 1, start quarter 2. A bit YOLO. We'll see how much you will be able to read. And I used ChatGPT. Like, I dislike and I hate, despise AI hard, but for like calculating things or translating things, I think it's a really neat tool. So I filled out the books that I've read and the ratings, and I've asked ChatGPT to create like pie charts for me or give me data of how much percentage is this and this. And then I just took tape roll, circle, and drew on top. Easy peasy. So ratings, we had a hefty 4.5 to 5-star ratio, which is quite a lot for me. Decent, okay-ish amount of read books. It's quite fairly divided, I think. So quarter 1 we started off strong. Genre-wise, lots of young adults. It's a comfort genre to me, but lately these days I feel like I'm more, how do you say this eloquently, the way young adult books are written, they are meant for a younger audience, and I feel like sometimes the way a character acts does annoy me a bit too much too often. So I try to read more books with adults as the main character. Lots of young adult books are gems though, so still love it. Bit of horror and thriller mystery. Format physical and ebooks. I like for my ebooks to be horror or thriller, because fantasy books are like a comfort genre to me, fantasy, science fiction, and I like the design of those covers more than horror books, and I feel like horror books don't have that lasting impression on me, or at least I haven't read a horror book yet where I was like, oh dang, I should have gotten a physical copy of it. So that's why, but I do want to get a physical copy of a really, really good horror book though. I do hope we will encounter a really good book that I do want to purchase it physical. So stats wise, but bang, book reviews. I know this is quite a lot of small letters on just 2 pages. So next time, I just really wanted to cram 8 books in here because it's a nice number, 4 on each page. Looks and sounded pretty good to me. Next time, maybe we will do 2 books on each page, if I have the energy for that, because right now we need to rush in, or I want to rush in quarter 2 soon. Yeah, I just looked pictures on Pinterest to see how I should create these little review mini pages, or mini sections I should say, and I think this font, in hindsight, not that it's ugly or anything, but I think a more classical font would fit this page more because of the vibe of my own washi tape. It's a bit too funky, but that aside, yeah, I quite like how this turned out. And yeah, my favorite page. What can I say? My favorite book. It has blue, one of my favorite colors. Wow! So definitely, I think I aced this page. I think it fits the vibe. And I try to, when I print out the book covers, I try to also look at the version and the color. Let's see, I have stationery that matches it. Who knew I designed my new washi tape with blue? So of course it was a great fit. When I thought of this book, I'm not quite sure how to say this properly, but vintage, like one of the main characters, the book, she's like a middle-aged researcher, And she gave me not quite Indiana Jones, but like that classic rustic adventurous vibe, and I thought, okay, we need to pair this with brown, because my tape also had hints of brown, so you know, it can't go wrong. And this font, I just splooshed it on the page. Yeah, I try not to, how do you say that? These pages are quite time consuming, and I try to make these in reasonable time frames, so I don't tend to sketch this out. I just yeet them onto the page and work with what happens after that. Basic info. Date started, date finished, how many pages the book has, and the Peach rating system, which is designed by Erin Smith. I'll link her video here. And Peach basically stands for plot, enjoyment, artistry, character, and heart. And I rated on this a scale of 5. It was 4.5, but I just gave it 5-star anyways, because it just felt really, really good to me. And this book was just amazing. And I think, yeah, artistry, it isn't that, I think it isn't written in a way so it's like, wow, so lyrical, so beautiful, but it did get a point across, and it definitely had so much heart, and I love the characters, so. But you know, you don't always have to follow a book. Rating on vibes is always good. And with the rating, you don't need to rate every book or have like a rating system, but I want to learn to read a bit more critical and think about what I read and what I thought of it, if it's objectively good or if it's good in my eyes, and really ponder on those thoughts. So that's why I like to include ratings. And this little collage. Don't know what happens in my brain sometimes, but when my brain is working and it's on, it's doing its magic. It just happens. And this page, okay, this is Daughter of Smoke and Bone, a treasured book of mine, definitely. And I think the showstopper is the font. Definitely how I drew this. So I love these wispy, smoky things and a subtle gradient. But I had so much trouble putting this page together. I think this section is interesting as well as this, but the colors, I think the pink color, because I didn't quite know what color palette I wanted to run it with, and this pink doesn't quite match the pink in the cover itself. So I think if I had to redo it, I would take like this tape, put it beneath here to make it more cohesive, because now only the pink stands out. But if I were to put this pink here, I think it still would clash too much with the rest. I do like this deer gold foil sticker here, coincides with the blue of the character, so I did that well in my opinion. But yeah, just switching this around would work better. And I kind of figured this out on the go, how I would write Peach system, and I spaced this out more evenly. So spacing helps a lot, and the readability of your page, like also making paragraphs here makes it more legible. And some quotes I put here, also here, of the books. Some quotes I really like, and I look up those quotes on the reading tracker-ish site Goodreads. I think you know that site, it's quite popular. And I guess that's it for Q1 reading journal review and updates. And I hope you liked it. I hope you maybe got some inspiration, found some nice books. Yeah. Oh, I'm jumping way ahead of myself, actually, but I only created these 2 pages because I like to create and spend more time on book review pages if I really thoroughly enjoyed the book, and if I feel like kind of meh about it, I don't want to really dwell in that world of the book much longer. Yeah, that's why we only have 2 pages, but who knows what Q2 has in store for us. I hope we can make more review pages. It doesn't have to be like this big, it can be smaller, like maybe 1-page review. We'll see. I'll see you next one. Thanks for watching and take care. Thank you if you made it till the end of this video. I think we're off to a really good start, and I did start my reading journal quite late into the year, like around March. I'm not sure how the end of this year will go, but I can positively say that I am about to wrap up quarter 2, starting quarter 3 in the reading journal, so you're doing alright, I hope you found some cool books to maybe read and add to your TBR. And had a good time watching this video. Maybe some new reading journal inspiration for you. Take care and see you next one. Bye.